Hi, everyone. This is a quick update about the recent changes that have been announced into the Job Keeper legislation. So my name's Jeremy Stratton. I am a director at SMS Law, and I've got on with me in this call Roger Hawley from Hawley Accounting. How are you going, Roger?
Hey, Jeremy. Not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thanks, mate. So for those who may not have seen, on Tuesday, the 21st of July, the Prime Minister and Treasurer announced basically changes to JobKeeper moving forward from the 1st of October through to the 31st of March, I believe it was, 2021. And they announced a bunch of different things. And so, we'll end up doing a Calm is Contagious for those who have been following that series down the track once that we actually get the rules. But we thought we'd just jump on today and just, Roger, if I could ask you a few questions and just update everyone with where it's up to and where things are going with JobKeeper. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good. Happy to help.
All right, mate. Sounds good. So do you want to start with what are the changes that were announced to JobKeeper?
Yeah, so there was quite substantial changes being announced. Well, the good news is, I've got some notes here. The good news is there's no change to the current JobKeeper program, so that will continue as is until the end of September. So people will receive their last payment in October under the current regime. And you can still enrol at any time if you become eligible, which has been a good thing. But the biggest changes have been in regards to the amount of the payments. It's currently $1,500 per eligible employee and plus one business participant. So that's going to reduce to $1,200 a fortnight from October, and that'll go through the December quarter. And then from January, or the March quarter 2021, it's going to be reduced to $1,000. And the other big change is in regards to the casual employees, because there's, I guess one of the anomalies that's come through the whole JobKeeper program is there's been quite a few teenagers that have been working part-time jobs that have received a substantial pay rise, which they're all very happy and comfortable with, but that's coming to an end. So anyone that was working less than 20 hours a week pre-COVID is going to have their JobKeeper payment cut in half to $750. And then from January 2021, it'll reduce to $650, which for a lot of those guys, it's going to be fairly comparable with what they would earn if they were just working their normal casual week. So they're the biggest changes in regards to the payments. So it's still quite sizable at $1,200. It's still be very handy for a lot of employers out there. But the biggest and the second change, so there's been two substantial changes. The first one is obviously the rates, which I've just explained. The second change is the turnover test. So the 30% turnover test still applies, but going forward, they're going to remove that ability to predict that your turnover is going to fall, and therefore you'll be eligible. It now needs to be based on actual. So in order to be eligible for October, November, December, or the December quarter, you need to prove that your June BAS, or the turnover as per lodged in your June BAS and also your September BAS, were both at least 30% lower than what you'd lodged in the comparable periods in 2019, so pre-COVID. And then that same turnover test will apply again when from January as well. So in order to be eligible in the March quarter 2021, you need to still have the still being able to show that your turnover has reduced 30% for effectively 9 months, or the three BASs that you would lodge being June 20, September 20, and March 21. December 20. That you are still showing a reduction in turnover of 30%. So they're the changes. So I would say minor reduction in payments if you're full-time staff, massive reductions if you're casual, and but the biggest change I believe is the application of the turnover test, which is now going to be based on actual turnover lodged in your BAS as opposed to predictions.
So have they talked about that as far as, because with JobKeeper, let's call it Mark 1, you could estimate your what your downturn was going to be based on projections. Is that coming out the window now to look at?
That's gone.
Actually gone.
Projections is gone.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's purely actual now.
Okay.
Yeah, because what we're noticing is a lot of businesses are actually recovering. And because the original JobKeeper, you only had to be eligible once. And then that means you can receive JobKeeper for the entirety of the 6-month program. And quite a few businesses are actually back to their pre-COVID turnover levels, and they're enjoying the JobKeeper right now. But having said that, there's a lot of businesses that would go under or would have to put off a lot of staff without it. So I think the new turnover test is fair.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, obviously it's more work for everyone involved to have to prove it, and the ATO is going to have to monitor it better, more than they have been. But I guess that's the nature of a program. Essentially the government's going to be subsidising wages for 12 months, and so they want to make sure that people are getting, the taxpayers getting value for money, aren't they?
And it's actually going to be a lot easier for the ATO to monitor this because it's going to be based on prior period BASs. They'll be able to data match prior periods to current periods. It's going to be much easier for them to catch out people that are defrauding the system. So it also means that people are going to have their books up to date. They're going to have to lodge their BASs on time. Which that's not a bad thing either.
No, well, it's good that people have their BASs up to date. A lot of people have left that go by the wayside, and it's good
actually,
to
Since the introduction of the COVID measures, compliance has been at an all-time high.
That's what happens when the government gives you money. If you comply. So
all of a sudden, these people that take weeks and weeks and weeks to do their BAS they're getting it to me over the weekend.
Well, there's an incentive. So other than like monitoring your income, are there other things that people need to look out for that you can see from what's been released so far? Well, I suppose that's just to reiterate that point, that the full rules, I don't believe they've been released. Have they, or have I not seen those? Or
no, the full rules haven't been released yet. So everything that you and I are talking about tonight is based on what the government has said live, and then I've read some commentary, some in the accounting sectors of different things. So
we learnt with JobKeeper Mark 1 that there was a lot of little finicky rules that came in with the actual rules themselves. So it's a bit of watch this space once we know what the rules are for us to tell.
Yeah, see, under the original ones, a lot of people were excluded, particularly people that had started their business or recently in the current financial year, pre the 12th of March, but they'd started it in the current the 2020 financial year. Those guys were, they initially weren't eligible, and there were things like that. Just on that though, I haven't heard any changes to cash boost. Like the only change that's happened in the cash boost space is the June payment, which was going to be 10,000. They've split that 5,000 minimum in June, and then a further 5,000 in September.
Right.
But there's been no word of that being extended beyond that.
This is a question you may not know the answer to, because it may not have been announced. But as far as like people who've been brought on since the 23rd of March, so as I recall, the original rule was you had to have someone employed at the 23rd of March. What about for businesses that have employed people now? Have they made any announcement about whether or not new employees would be eligible for JobKeeper, or is it just?
No, my understanding is they're not eligible.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that makes sense. I was just curious as to whether or not that came up.
Yeah, because my understanding is they're not eligible, and I believe the government's making some changes in regards to job seeker as well, which I haven't done as much research on job seeker because it's if someone's on job seeker, they're generally not my client, so it's they don't need an accountant generally. So yeah, but I believe the job seeker payment is also being reduced by $250, but they're extending an extra $300 of work for free credit that doesn't affect your Centrelink payment.
Right.
In regards to job seeker, but yeah, I didn't pay that much attention to the job seeker changes, to be honest with
you. Yeah, I mean, there's. I had a quick look at it when it was announced yesterday that the job seeker was being reduced down. But again, they're not our clients. If you're on that, best to talk to the ATOs, probably the
Centrelink directly.
Directly.
Yeah, but I guess what a word of warning that comes out of all this is the ATO's ability to data match is substantially increased. Because previously under JobKeeper 1, there was a portion was actual, where you were comparing March 19 versus March 20 or April 20 versus April 19, whatever it may be. But then they also had that predictive sort of element into it as well. With that being gone, and it's 100% based on actual, then it's going to be very easy for the ATO to apply a very black and white calculation to your turnover.
Yeah, I agree. And what a lot of people don't realize is just how sophisticated the ATO data matching can be, and what they can monitor things like Facebook. They can monitor, they can look at what you're doing and they can see these things, and more and more that people get caught out with that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's and the penalties are hefty if you defraud JobKeeper. Yeah, I think the original penalty was something like a minimum of you have to pay back the money, and that can be a fine of up to 75% of what you've received.
Yeah, and that is the most they can penalize someone by law. Yeah, which is still a substantial penalty.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, no one should think about doing it because it's just not worth it.
No,
at the end of the day, is it?
It's just not worth it. So I guess JobKeeper's still there. And I think what they're doing by slowly reducing it, slowly phasing it out is a good thing, because what you're seeing now in the workforce, I've had probably half a dozen clients of mine complain to me that they can't find staff at the moment, because why would they work when they're considered home for a minimum 1,200, potentially 1,500 a fortnight? There's just no incentive to work at the moment. So businesses are trying to recover, but in order to recover, they need to put on staff. I think it's a good thing they're phasing this out, and it also takes away the incentive for a business owner to really kick back in and grow the business to pre-COVID levels as well, because there's a lot of there's some short-term financial benefit in having your wages paid for you, and so it's going to be interesting times. But I do agree with their strategy of phasing it out slowly. If it just stopped at the end of September, it may have been quite catastrophic. Yeah, there might have been 10% of the workforce knocking on Centrelink's door all on the same day.
I think that Josh Frydenberg said that the underlying unemployment rate is something like 11%, based on what they can see from businesses shut down and people not actually working. So that's
I wonder if that doesn't seem that high, to be honest with you.
The US is around 20.
Do they have a similar JobKeeper program over there?
They have. The people that I speak to over there, and I speak to them regularly, as you know, it's called the Paycheck Protection Program. So the PPP, people might have heard of. It's a similar thing, but basically businesses applied to get the money that the government gave through banks.
Mm.
And they were able to get a percentage of the money. But I understand, actually, so 22nd July, yeah, it's about now. Congress is so their Congress, which is their lower house and their upper house, are actually negotiating another stimulus, because their situation is far, far, far worse than ours. Even with Victoria, their position is getting really, really bad. There's like this massive second wave. So
they're 4 million cases or something. We're hardly a scratch compared to what's happening.
Which still doesn't mean that we're not affected, but we absolutely are. So they have a similar program. The UK has a similar program. Germany has a similar program. A lot of the rich world economies have the money to do that, but then there's lots of countries who don't have it. So even at the reduced amounts, it still helps keep people employed. And means that we should be able to get through it and out the other side.
Hopefully.
I personally think it's a great piece of legislation to help keep people employed. Through something that is through no one's fault.
No, I'm happy with the legislation, and I'm also very happy with the phase out that they're implementing as well. And and they've also given themselves the option in March next year to extend it further if necessary.
Well, Scott Morrison was asked that in the press conference yesterday, and his response was, "We will wait and see. If they don't get if they don't get control or another outbreak happens, then they may have no choice."
Exactly.
But there's only so long that the government can subsidise people's wages. And we all need to be
before they
that.
start printing money, if they're not already printing money.
They already are.
Yeah.
What was it, $130 billion that they borrowed to fund JobKeeper 1? And and they only need 60 billion of it. So and that's a debt. We're not going to get into a philosophical discussion here, but it's a payment that we're going to be making for generations to come. So
essentially, very good. Well, that in a nutshell, there's two changes. The payments are being reduced, and the turnover test still applies, but it's going to be based on actual turnover as opposed to predictions.
Yeah, and that it's been extended, which is a good thing, keeping people going. So
good thing, yeah. So everyone out there, keep bringing your bazzers in. I'll keep lodging them for you. And if those that are eligible, then good luck to you.
Yep.
And those that haven't been affected too much, well, better luck to you.
Well, good luck to you, because your business is going well too. So,
it's funny you should say that. I've actually had a few of my clients have actually blossomed through COVID. Like, a couple of them have said, I probably shouldn't say this, Roger, but I'm really happy with COVID.
But that happens in any downturn, in any disaster, in any anything of this nature. Different types of businesses will do really well, and different ones won't. And it's just a matter of protecting yourself and doing what you can going forward. So as I said at the beginning, for anyone who's watching this, we will do another Karma's Contagious webinar, like a full webinar, once the rules come out and we know any of the other finer details. And you'll be able to, this will be shared on YouTube, and we'll share that around to all the attendees. So just watch this space. We'll contact everyone when we're ready to go. But there's no point in us doing a new one until we know the finer details of the rules. And that's why we did this short little presentation on a Wednesday night, just to cover off on everything. So, Roger, is there anything else you wanted to say before we finish up?
No, I think that's good. I think we've been quite comprehensive based on the available information to us. I think that's plenty to go off.
Excellent. All right, you have a good night, Roger, and to everyone out there watching it, you have a good night or day or whenever you're watching this on the replay, and we'll be in touch soon.
Cheers. Thanks, Jeremy.
Bye.
Cheers.